Hey guys, I've got an interesting game to share with you in the French defence. Now this is not my game, this has been submitted by a chess.com buddy and former student. So, we'll go through the game and I'd like you to guess the ELOs of the players if you can. So let's play, I think Gotham Chess does a great series where he tries to guess the ELOs of his subscribers' games just by looking at the games and the quality of the moves. But this is just a really nice game. So let's go through it. So e4, e6, and we have the French defence. d4, d5, and the advanced variation with e5. Now c5 is the next move. So we're challenging for the centre here, threatening to trade a wing pawn for a central pawn. So it's normal to protect the pawn, and knight to f3 is one way. We have now knight to c6, and now we have two attackers on there. So, I mean, at this point, even black can just trade off the pawns, right? If c3 is played, then white's proposing to replace the pawn with his own c-pawn. But knight to c6 is fine. Bishop pins the knight, bishop breaks the pin, bishop takes the knight, bishop takes the bishop. Okay, white now castles. So I'm sure I've seen this position lots of times myself. And now h6, this is a defensive move, covering this square, preventing the bishop or the knight from coming down there and making nuisances of themselves. Now this, I would say, is an inaccuracy from white, because it simply allows black to develop his bishop for free with the recapture, plus the bishop is on the diagonal pointing straight towards the king. We have knight to c3, knight to e7 now. And this is quite a common move in the French, to bring the knight round to g6 rather than the more natural f6 here. And that's a good way of putting extra pressure on this pawn. So you could have, for example, queen c7 and try and compete for the pawn. Now a3 from white, which I think is slow, quite honestly. Black castles, and now b4. But white's now invested two moves to harass a bishop that had a very easy way just to step out of the way. So not the most accurate play, again, I don't think, from black. White now plays bishop to f4. So it's adding a second defender to this pawn. And yes, it is an important pawn. But now we've got two pieces now. And it seems like, you know, their main job is protecting this pawn. So you can see this pawn's becoming a bit of a liability now, having lost the d-pawn and its natural pawn defender. Now white is having to use pieces to defend it. However, this pawn isn't even attacked once right now. So black now plays knight to g6, which is a good move because it is attacking the pawn, but it's also attacking this undefended bishop on f4. So the bishop's going to either have to get itself a defender or step out the way. So the knight now retreats to defend the bishop. Now, black now plays a5. Now this isn't the move that I would have played, I don't think. I think the something more natural for white. So let's just look at the board, right? We've got this pawn here is maybe not the key to the game, but we've got a bishop here, and white has just moved a knight back to defend the bishop, right? Now, this knight is the only defender of this bishop. What's more, we've got four pawns on light squares right now, but our main pawn chain, and this e-pawn here is deadlocked, right? So we're going to have a light squared pawn chain at least for the next few moves, which makes this bishop slightly less useful. Now, I think I would have played bishop b5 here, attacking this knight. The knight is also kind of pinned. So should the knight move, the bishop could grab the rook behind it, yeah? So what you're doing here, you're threatening to capture the knight, and then on the next turn you can very likely capture the knight, and let's say white recaptures with the queen, knight takes bishop, right? It's removing the defender. When you see a piece that's defended only once, if you can eliminate the defender of that piece, maybe you've got yourself some free stuff. And we all like free stuff, don't we? Okay, but a5 is played, and now c3, and now we take here. Now either recapture is possible. If a recaptures, then we've got a situation where both rooks are facing off, but then both rooks are defended by the queens. So what does white do? Captures with the c-pawn, giving black now a passed pawn, potentially to go all the way up here. Now black plays queen to c7. So we have two attackers on here, right? Knight and queen. And we have two defenders, bishop and knight. Now this move is still on, right? Target the knight, pin the knight, and threaten to remove. But here, white makes a mistake and actually moves the only defender of that bishop. So black does the right thing, grab the free stuff, queen attacks, knight simply retreats back to g6, and now again we have two attackers on here, but there's only one defender at this point. The rook comes across looking at the bishop, knight takes the free pawn. So finally this pawn is gone, and look at black's pawn structure here. This is really, really nice. This bishop, we have to notice, is defended by the pawn as well as currently by the knight. Now if knight takes, we've got queen takes and happy days. Knight takes, queen takes, happy days. Rook to e1, threatening the queen. I don't know if that's, again, a good use of a move. It's slightly inaccurate. Queen back now to d6. This is not a bad square. My first thought now would be to start using these two pawns and get them pushed up the board, I think. We have queen here. Rook now across to e8. Knight in. Now, there's a threat. Threat of queen takes g7 checkmate. We must do something about that. So simply f6. Queen comes back. Rook c8. Queen moves again. Again slightly aimlessly. I do think that here, still, pushing the pawns up the board and kind of shutting down these lines, right, would be a good idea for black. But we have bishop back attacking the knight. Knight moves. And now e5. This is good to see. I'm happy about that. Queen into f5, not really a threat. Bishop attacks queen, queen moves, bishop attacks queen. And here, white actually runs out of time, so loses on time. But a very, very solid game from black. Black finishes a minor piece and a pawn in front. And I can reveal that the black player with the black pieces was OT Milka, currently rated 907. And I would say that is an excellent game for a 900 player. I think it's a perfectly good game for a 1200 player, quite honestly. Really nice to see the French defence. Someone's obviously been watching a few of my videos. Thank you very much. And a great result. And look again, this pawn centre, this strong pawn centre that we quite often see in the French. And this, I think, if both players had had another 20 minutes, this pawn, particularly the passed d pawn, with no other pawn to compete against it, would have, I'm sure, proved to be very decisive. So very good game. I hope it inspires you to try out the French defence for yourself. It's lots of fun. And yeah, well done, OT Milka. Ed, great job, mate. Well done. Hope this has been useful for you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.